The views and opinions of the Nissan Nation podcast are strictly that. They are views and opinions of Dave and Danny and its guests. They are not the views and opinions of Nissan Corporate Americas or otherwise, Japan, wherever. So now, a DRB and KGB media presentation, the Nissan Nation podcast. Hit it, Kelly.
Recorded live, coast to coast, it's the Nissan Nation podcast. From camping, racing, and all points in between. The NNP is your Nissan Nation podcast. Now start your engines and welcome in the hosts, David and Danny.
What is going on, Nissan Nation? From all things Nissan here in Middle Tennessee to Southern California to the land of Oz to UK, Japan. I've seen Korea. I don't remember which Korea, but let's hope it's Southern Korea. Everywhere in between, man. I was checking our not ratings of sorts, but I can track where people listen from and which country they listen from. And within the United States, I can pretty much track what state you're coming from. And yeah, that sounds creepy, right? But from time to time, we like to know kind of where our listenership comes from. So you want to pay attention to that a little bit. And within the world of podcasting, the extreme world of podcasting, there's some Facebook groups for that. And, it's always like bragging rights. And I don't get into that, but I do when I see people talking about how they're, you look at the Joe Rogan podcast. Christ, man, like 6 million downloads per episode. So I'll take our 5 to 1,000 downloads per episode, and I'll be super happy with that. How about that? As I take me a sip of some bourbon there. So I hope everybody's having a great day, Memorial Day weekend, or night, however it be. Hope everybody's being safe, and remember what this is for. It's a memorial to the people we've lost, fighting men in America. I know in other countries you guys have your own thing. Different days, and I salute all the servicemen. But let's, please be safe. I say it every year, if you're going to drink, please do not drive. And after that, man, let's just get right to it. Gone Moab 2017. We were going to do a recap show. Danny is currently traveling back to his land of California, Southern California. So Danny, in years past, I've gotten to fly out there, and we've done shows, and some have been crazy, and some have been more intimate. But this time, Dan took the reins, and I'm interested. I haven't even heard what he's recorded yet. He hasn't shipped it to me. But it's killing me because I was sitting there watching their Facebook feeds, and of course Dan's page, and some of my friends that were out there's page, like Mr. Luke Pancal of Lifestyle Off-Road, not site sponsor, but a podcast sponsor. And our buddy Chris Meisner, Chris Tech as I call him, from Niztech. Just seeing their Facebook pages and just kicking me in the nuts, man. I don't know if you're at a car event or whatever, or your buddies go to that car event and you've got to stay home, and you see all these killer 300Zs, GTRs, whatever it be, that 240s, whatever it be, man. Your friends are posting and you're stuck at home, And when I say stuck at home, it was, it's not like I was chained to the desk and they said crank out podcast and that's all you get to do. I have my own adventure that we're about to get into with this episode. Excuse me. So it's just killing me. I'm seeing all these adventures, man, and Mr. Bill Irish, who we had on a couple episodes back, man, he took that event and he raised the game. And my hat's off to you, Bill, if you're listening to this. You've raised that benchmark just a little bit higher for all the other events, including mine. So you're watching this, and I'm getting to see, I'm a big off-roader. I love cars too, and I do like to race cars, but I see all of these, trucks in Moab, Utah. And for those that aren't in the States, Google Moab, Utah. If you off-road at all, it's a top 5 destination in the world for off-roading. That slick rock, they call it, just looks like Mars, and it really does. When you drive in, it just trips you out the first time you drive in there. But so I'm seeing all my buddies, man. There's carnage. People are braking the first day. What goes through your head? You're like, Christ, man, what is going on? How did that happen? How did they fix it? Because that's how I am. I want to, clearly I run a podcast, so news and info like this is what I love. So let me give me another sip of this. So I'm seeing all this, and they have their big meet and greet, and it's just killing me, man. It's killing me. I'm like, man, I want to go see, because for me out on the East Coast, man, we have the event I do, Wind Rock, and there's some other like Xterra related events, kind of, but Moab is screw with the event itself. Moab is Moab, man, and between that and the Rubicon, these are historic places that you just want to. Where else can you go and see dinosaur footprints in the ground? In rock, where it was an old seabed or whatever it was, and they're walking around. So, let alone the event, which is a, first class event. So I'm seeing this, and it's just killing me. And then day 2, killing me, just killing me. Day 3, and they had an overland run there, which I would have loved to have been a part of. They, just all my buddies out there having a great time. And so, finally, I start getting, Danny's texting me a little bit and like, dude, you're missing out on a killer time. My buddy Luke, you're missing out. Car Jeep and all the normal players, they're out there and just not rubbing it in my face, because nobody is like that with this group. But just, hey, we miss you. Come on out. Wish you could be here. So I'm like, man, I'm bumming. I'm just kind of like, what now? I mean, I love my wife and family, don't get me wrong. And this being a holiday weekend that, you get that extra day off. And of course there's always those honey to-do lists and things you need to be doing. But my buddy, Kevin Smith with, Smith Overland, www.smithoverland.com for those interested in what he does. I'm about to do what's called the Red Clay Rally. And this is a first-time event here in the East Tennessee area. It's going to be a 650-mile rally. It's an overland rally of sorts. And it's a 3-day event. So you can imagine that's a lot of miles to get that kind of distance. It's supposed to end somewhere around Atlanta. And I'm starting in Bristol, Tennessee. So if, for those not in the States, Google that, look it up. They've got a website and stuff. I'm interested because I do events. I'm always interested in how others do them. I'm also I'm a off-road junkie. So the idea of being gone for 3.5 days of, just you better survive on what you take. That's super interesting to me. So I'm going to do that. And so my buddy Kevin, me and him were going to do this together along with my buddy Jason Hoffman of the Toyota Trucks and Trails podcast. We had this big plan of all going and do this as a team. Jason was going to be in his 4Runner. We were going to take Kevin's Xterra. And we were going to go kick some ass, man. But just as life happens, you never know what's going to come up. And my buddy Kevin said, dude, and this is a couple months ago, he's like, hey, man, I think a project of work or something's coming up. I am just not going to be able to do it, but I'm a sponsor. I'm one of the sponsors of this event. And he was like, hey, Dave, will you, not take my spot, but hey, will you please go represent me at this a little bit? So it gets closer to the event, and Jason, he's scrambling to get his forward. He had an event that he was going to, a Toyota event last weekend, and he was kind of scrambling to get his truck ready. I'm kind of thinking, am I going to take Kelly's Xterra? Or, because if Jason can't, we've got to go represent the podcast, both podcasts. And I'm kind of like, so I start scrambling, trying to get Kelly's truck, in fighting shape. And then, wouldn't you know, broken ball joint's going to screw up my plans of driving it. So, it's me and Jason. So my buddy Kevin's like, hey, he called me up the night. I've got to run my raffle stuff or however they're doing their giveaways. I've got to run it over to East Tennessee. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. I've got honey to-do list, but how could I get out of that? And I was like, hey, man, do you mind, you want some company? Because from here in Nashville, that's about a 4.5 hour drive each way. And I mean, it's doable. it would be boring as one person unless you just need to clear your head. So he was like, hell yeah, man, let's go do this. And I said, hey, you want to take the Titan sitting out in the drive here? And he was like, really? It's like, yeah, man, I haven't got to really stretch its legs on any kind of a long, maybe 30, 40-minute trip. I haven't really got to do much with it yet. So he was like, heck yeah, man, let's take that. He goes, one condition, can I drive some? And I was like, well, yeah, you can drive. I am not a car snob by any means, man. All my friends will tell you, as soon as I get a new car, I'm like, here's the keys, man. Let's go, you'll drive it. Because whether it be a Jeep, I mean, I don't care what you drive, man, a Corolla. I just love cars. And generally, I assume my friends, right or wrong, I assume my friends are the same as me with that. And most of them are. So we take off 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Just having fun, just talking, because we haven't got to hang out in a couple months. Just having, hey, where you at in your life? And we get to just outside of Bristol, Tennessee. I don't remember the town's name, and we meet the guy that's doing this red clay rally. Super nice guy. We drop off. We talk for a few minutes. I'm looking over. He's got a pretty cool 4Runner. It's pretty built, and it's time to go. And I think the guy had to head off to do something. And I'm like, hey, Kevin. And I've been to Bristol before, but I was like, hey, man, you want to go kind of explore Bristol, Tennessee a little bit? We're here, and I'm the type of person that if I'm there, you're like, man, when am I ever? A lot of these little towns and stuff, you're like, whenever am I ever going to be here again? Do they got something famous about them? Is there something unique? So if you're in the States, you probably know Bristol Motor Speedway. And clearly, NASCAR. Nissan doesn't race NASCAR, but that's okay. I mean, I'm just a car guy, like I said, and I want to check out the track. So it's like 20 minutes away from where we were heading from. And we see it in the background. I mean, it's, even though it's a short track, I think it's a half mile. I forget what it is. It's a big bowl. I think they get 150,000 people in this little short track. It's nuts. I mean, it's for you in Europe. I know it's not F1 nuts, but it's what we got in the States, and we love it. Big V8s. So I pull up to the first gate, and it's locked, and I'm like, oh crap, man, because I wanted to take a picture of the Titan in front of this thing, man. I'm a truck guy. And it's, I know some will think, why do you want a picture of your car in front of these things? But it's a monument, it's no different than pulling in front of, the arch at St. Louis, man. Always want goofy pictures. So, and my buddy Kevin, man, he's an adventurer. He's a big Overland guy. He likes to explore too. And he's like, oh man, I see some cars going down there. Let's go down this way. So it must have been the main entrance to this place. So the gate was open, and I see people kind of mumbling around, and I was like, well, I wonder what's going on. And still, the whole time, my focus is this racetrack. I was like, I'm going to get my picture. So we, I don't know why it didn't dawn on me. And when I was a kid, I was a big drag race fan. I seen Thunder Valley, man. They're whatever half mile drag strip they've got there, and there's all kinds of just little rail cars and street cars and stuff lined up, and I was like, holy cow. I think there's time trials or something going on. And man, my buddy Kevin's like, hey, you want to go see what's going on? And I'm like, oh man, I don't think we'll be able to get in there. And I'm probably too much of a pessimist or anything, but so we pull into their parking lot, and I'm thinking the whole time, okay, somebody's going to kind of come up and go, hey, you guys don't have the pass or whatever you need. And we just walk in. And I did a little live Facebook thing of me kind of walking in and hearing all these cars. And I'm thinking, okay, we'll just get to the, their grandstands or whatever they've got. Within 5 minutes, we are basically on the strip, their track. And nobody's saying a word to us, man. I mean, I see the officials there, and we look official. Don't get me wrong. I've got on my Nissan Nation podcast nice shirt, because we were meeting people, and Kevin has his Smith Overland shirts, and we're definitely representing our brands. And so maybe that's what it was. I don't know. Who's to say? But I'm seeing these rail cars go off, and just loud as can be. And I know some of you have probably been to drag strips. Them headers popping out of them cars, and you just bum 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 bum. You just feel it, and you're like, I'm a car guy. This is just freaking awesome. And Kevin had never seen anything like this. Kevin's more, he's more of the Overland guy that I guess probably never got much into racing. And I'm thinking any time now somebody's going to come tell us, hey, you guys can't be here. So I'm right at the lineup. We're just standing there watching, and there's your guy out there spraying the track down so they can do their burnouts. Just taking it in, man. And Google Thunder Valley, because this in the hills of East Tennessee, and I'm talking, this is the Appalachian Mountains. This racetrack is in one of the most beautiful spots. You're like, it literally is in a valley. It's just green, just pretty. You've got these, your big race stands, because this is an NHRA race, or not the one that was at, but the track is sanctioned. So it's kind of like they've got grandstands, like a mini NASCAR thing. So me and Kevin are just looking around, just taking it in, man. I'm taking all these pictures, and we're watching these rail cars go off, and then some motorcycles were doing some stuff, and of course they're all lined up, and then we see these little guys, man. It has to be people 10 to 15, I'm guessing, in these mini rail cars, and doing their little burnouts and stuff, and it sounded like a hot-rodded lawnmower is what it sounded like. And they're taking off, and we're just blown away, and I think we stood there for an hour. And we look at each other like, man, we just thought we were coming over to East Tennessee to drop this stuff off, probably grab lunch. And so after that, we kind of start tooling around. I get next to the track. They've got some little race going on, little street race time trial things out in their big parking lot. We just, I'm looking around the racetrack a little bit, and just, just enjoying kind of the freedoms that we have here of just like, how in the hell did I get here, and then get to see these things and witness these people doing these things. So we end up going to downtown Bristol, and for those that don't know, here in the States, the town literally is in two states. It's in Virginia and it's in Tennessee. And I know Geico here in the States is running some commercials with the little lizard standing on the state line and stuff. And dude, we go to this restaurant, and I think Kevin mentions it in the interview we do. Just this beautiful, all these glass windows. You're looking at the Appalachian Mountains there in town. Just breathtaking, man. So where am I going with this is, on the way back, Kevin had asked if he could drive the truck a little bit, because he wanted to. He's a little SUV guy, so it's like, yeah, dude. So the idea came to me of what I'm going to call the Titan interviews, and I'm hoping to do more of these, because it was just so much fun. I set up a recorder. We're sitting in the truck. Kevin's going down Interstate 40. We're heading back to Nashville, and we're just talking, and of course I've known Kevin for years, and we get into this. But just enjoying a vehicle, our Nissan vehicle. Just enjoying each other's company because we're good friends. And just, we're just going to talk it out. So hopefully down the road I'll have more of these, what I call the Titan interviews. And so let's get with it. Now, I before I punch in, the audio is a little iffy at times. I feel like my air vent was hitting on the mic of the recorder that I have. So bear with me. It's not ridiculous, but it's not our normal good quality stuff. But let's get with it. And I think we're going to start first. We're going to start at the racetrack, and let's see what we're doing. What is going on, Nissan Nation? Me and my buddy Kevin Smith doing a little adventuring this weekend. As you can hear, we are in an interesting place. We are in Bristol's Motor Speedway here in Thunder Valley.
at the drag strip. We just happened to we were just over here for an adventure of our own and just happened to see a drag races going on. It kind of interesting. We got some sport bikes versus a little Harley here about to go off. Let you listen in. This is adventuring, man. When you just happen to be in an area and you just stumble across things like this. We're like literally a minute ago we were maybe 10 foot from the takeoff of these drag cars, and I wish Fat Finger Dave was here and forgot to hit the record button on those. But man, what a way to just out of the blue pop in here. Let you listen in on this one. That cycle ain't gonna have no tires by the time he's done. He took that burnout a little too long. But it's crazy. We'll have more on this adventure. We actually drove over here just to see the Bristol Motor Speedway. And somehow a race fell in our laps. I'll be back later, guys.
What is going on, everybody? Let me talk to you a little bit about Lifestyle Off-Road. What is Lifestyle Off-Road? What do they do? Well, let me tell you, they make custom t-shirts, they make custom graphics, stickers, you name it. They also have their own line of clothing. I wear a lot of it, man. I personally like their designs and what they do and how they support, the off-road community and especially the Nissan community. So if you need something from custom stickers, I love you grandma, whatever you want to put on your car, maybe family reunion t-shirts, maybe t-shirts for your club or event, give them a shout over there at www.lifestyleoffroad.com or check them out on Facebook at Lifestyle Off-Road. Be sure to tell them the NNP sent you.
All right, guys. We've got Mr. Kevin Smith of Smith Overland in the Nissan Nation Titan. We're doing the Titan interviews now, Kevin.
Alrighty.
We had just been on an adventure to East Tennessee. You'll hear in the show earlier in the show where we were somehow found ourselves at the Bristol Motor Speedway, and then found out they were doing, I guess, local drag racing or something. So we spent an hour and watched, I think, from kid cars to full adult, I don't know, hobbyist, a little of everything in the
motorcycles.
Yeah, there were some motorcycles and all kinds of fun stuff. So Kevin, let's discuss Smith Overland, man.
Sure.
How I got to know you? You bought yourself, what was that, a 2005 Nissan Xterra at one point?
That's right.
And you were just looking for kind of a cool outdoorsy vehicle?
I decided I wanted to get into off-roading, and I also have a company that does work for Nissan, so it was important that whatever I was driving was a Nissan vehicle, and that pretty much narrowed it down to the Xterra.
Yeah, the current Pathfinder wasn't going to be the outdoorsy vehicle,
right?
So you I'm assuming you seem like a man of detail, and you probably researched the vehicle a little bit and kind of got to know what you were looking for, and you found a completely armored up one at one time, right?
I did. I decided it being my first off-road vehicle, I didn't necessarily want to take a brand new shiny truck and go tear up all the quarter panels.
Right.
So bought a used Xterra and got lucky enough to find one that was pretty much off-road ready. Had a whole Cal Mini kit on it, and all I really had to do was put some new rubber on it, and I was good to go.
Yeah, because when I met you, it was 31s on this thing with a 6-inch lift.
Might have been 30.5.
It looked like your truck skipped leg day, that's for sure. But we got to know each other. You got on the Xterra Nation forum and stuff, and through that you learned about the vehicles. And then we did a trip to Woolies, And you'd said that you had taken your family out to Woolies, and what, in 10 minutes it was over, right?
Yeah, having never off-roaded before, I was itching to go, and it was Father's Day, I forget what year, maybe 2012, maybe 2011.
Yeah, because NXM2 was 12, so...
Okay. And went off-roading by myself, so just one truck with my wife and 2 kids down at Woolies, and I realized it was not a good idea when I had my wife out spotting, and she didn't know how to drive off-road, let alone spot. So cruised around for a little bit, and I don't know, probably 25 minutes off-roading after driving there one way for 40 minutes, but it was good. They were all good soldiers. Enjoyed it.
Vowed never to go off-roading again, right?
They have not been off-roading since. Yes. Yes. And I haven't asked them, so I'll give them that.
So I think the second time you were at Woolies was when we would have first, I think that's when we met. And I remember pulling up and I see Kevin in this truck, and I'm like, okay, this is a pretty off-road truck. And then you went to go and your truck wouldn't start.
Yes. Well, I got there early because I was nervous.
Sure.
And was waiting for you and forgot to shut my lights off. So everyone else aired down and ripped out of there, and I didn't quite rip out of there.
and that battery's for a whole nother story, because that ends up in another event that you had more battery problems.
Chapter for another day.
But so you really got, I think probably NXM2 is probably where you just really got it hooked in, right?
Yeah, I caught the fever at NXM2. That was my 3rd off-roading trip. So 2 trips to Woolies, and then we went to Windrock, and basically my mind was blown at Windrock, and I was hooked, and I had the fever.
What was it? Was it just seeing all these guys that loved it too, or was it just really? Because Windrock, those who don't know, if you want to look it up, you can go to YouTube. There's all kinds of Windrock videos, and me and Danny have discussed it endless on the show. But is it just like the vast amount that you can drive there, or was it? What was it that hooked you?
I think for me it was that we went on trails that I never thought a vehicle could get through, and I was puckered up solid for however long it is, 3 days.
Well, you had your buddy with you too, right?
I had my good friend Heath with me, and it was just white knuckle the whole time. I was exhausted at the end of every day, but I didn't know that it ended on Saturday night. I thought that Sunday was another day of trail riding, so we camped on the field there, woke up Sunday morning, everybody was gone. And Heath and I had planned to be there Sunday, so we went and did all the trails by ourselves that we had done during the week, and that was a huge sense of accomplishment just to go back and do those trails and kind of take them in a little bit more relaxed mode, but totally had the fever at the end of that trip.
You didn't have some jerk trail leader like going, hey, do this.
No. Trail leader was good. I can't remember his name. Yeah. Darren something, but he was
Darren Floyd?
Darren Floyd, yeah. Yeah, I think that was it.
Well,
Baron Doyd, I think that was his name.
Well, I think you were mapping it as you were doing it too, so you definitely, like, to get back, I think, like, it was pretty confident that you knew where you were at then.
Yeah, we did Trail 16, and Tim Richardson was leading Trail 16, or he was towards the front.
Sean Dotson was leading that year, 16. And when he broke down.
He didn't finish leading Trail 16.
Yeah.
He started leading Trail 16, but we finished it and got to the top. And
that was the same time that the teacher put his truck into the big hole too, wasn't it?
Yeah, the guy from Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we mapped it. We got to the top of 16, and Tim radioed back because he didn't know which way to turn. Mm-hmm. And I had been up there already and mapped it, and so I ended up going from tail gunner guy to navigator guy driving behind Tim.
Third trip in, and suddenly Kevin's the trail leader.
Yeah, it was moving up quick in my duties. So
that year, let's see, we would have started at 22 that year. It would have been day one, I know. And I used to use 22 as a gauge of my guys, whether they were going to freak out on me or whether they could handle more. And I would amp it up every day, and so we would have done 26, 27 the next day, and then 16 would have been the coup de grace. And but I was so exhausted on that Dotson stepped in for me to trail lead. But that was a good year for NXM, the National Extermity, because we had come from the first year of 50 some trucks. Was not a disaster of an event, but I didn't know what I was doing, to year 2 where we had a kind of an idea how to do it, and then like catching Kevin getting excited about it, and I think we were pretty quick to ask you, like, hey man, do you want to kind of help us organize this a little better?
I think you had to fight me off, because it was probably that following Monday when you were trying to get some rest and put NXM on hiatus for a week or 2, and I was emailing and texting and calling you with ideas and suggestions and all of that. I remember that, because you're like, hey, normally we take a couple weeks off before we start planning the next one. I was like, but I got these great ideas.
Well, but yeah, man, like I remember you, like, both hands on the wheel, like very, not tense, but just very like focused on what we were doing.
You can say tense.
No, you didn't seem tense, but you just seemed like very like. You could tell like you were paying attention. You were one of the first guys that I guided around. Like when I told you something, like you didn't question it really. You just kind of was learning from what I was telling you. Where sometimes you'll get guys that are, they may think they have more experience than they really do, and they're gonna fight with you on the trails about getting you somewhere. And so it was nice to see that. And what I think you guys spent the whole next day off-roading, and I remember you just going, hey man, you got any, it's like that Dave Chappelle meme, you got any more of those off-roading trips? But so I think it was pretty close after that. We would have went back to Woolies, I think, and I think by then you were probably rolling on 35s, because I think you've seen the limit. What, NXM2, you were still on those smaller tires, right?
Yeah, NXM2, I had 31 and a half general grabber 2s, or whatever those things were, AT2s. And I don't remember exactly when, but I swapped those out for 35s, KM2s.
Which the truck was pretty much built for to begin with.
Right.
And then, then the next time I go off-roading with you, it's like, you've got the monster truck all of a sudden. Like, I'm feeling very inadequate, Like, well, a little truck here will get us through there.
I remember we went to that park down towards Chattanooga.
Oh, yeah. What is that? Venture Off-Road Park.
Yeah.
AOP.
And we went up that first trail. It had rained the day before or something, and there was the first trail. Right off the trailhead was this long, muddy, uphill, slippery thing, and you and I were going up it, and Dave was like, more gas, man, more gas. There was just mud flying everywhere, and I think us and one other guy, we had 8 trucks. We had just met JR at the time.
Yeah. And JR went on the trails with us, and his buddy, this 4-wheeler. And I think it was the Southeast Xterra guys who were planning on going there, and they brought a bunch of 2-wheel drive guys with them. And I will lead a 2-wheel drive crew around anytime, but not at a park I've never been to myself. And their Trail 1 is like, it's probably a good 300, 350 feet of just up. You're going up. And but we adventured around there, and we ended up going to we spent lunch in Chattanooga and stuff. And
we went to Prentice Cooper after that.
Did we go to Cooper right after that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right, because we thought that's where they were going, or they decided to make it a day there. And so we about this time, Kevin starts building. He built a box for the back of his truck, and I was like, man, I didn't know Kevin had these kind of skills of building stuff like this. And it was not your primo boxes you're building now, but you definitely saw what you were building there. And what was it that kind of led you? I mean, it wasn't Smith Overland just that yet then, but what led you to kind of go, I need a box for this thing?
Well, I won't name names, but after wheeling with certain people we would run into a situation where we would need a tow strap or something, and unnamed said persons would open their hatch up and spend 15 minutes scrambling through a gigantic pile of off-road gear, diapers, other things. It's like, man, there's got to be a better way to keep this stuff all
You gotta organize your diapers better, man.
That's right. So, and I'm a little dysfunctional in that regard anyway. So decided I needed some kind of organization system. And
You definitely are a person of organization. If you go into Kevin's shop, there's definitely each tool has a specific spot, and if you don't return it to that spot, Kevin's going to let you know you didn't return it to that spot.
get a timeout.
Yes, and then you don't get to touch the Phillips screwdriver for a while. So you kind of built you a box, and I mean and you're still pretty green to off-roading, like you know, I mean you kind of knew basic needs you had and just basic storage idea, but it didn't.
Well, by the time I had finished, because I built several boxes along the way, and every time I finished one, I already knew what I needed to improve on the next one. So
Right.
It was kind of this progression of literally the paint wouldn't even be dry, and I'm like, oh man, I should have done this, and I should have done that, and that kind of fueled it. And they were good enough that a couple people approached me and were interested in buying one.
Yeah, because Chet and those guys seen it, I remember, and they
Chet
wanted
had
one.
And Chris Robertson's got one. And that was kind of like, well, if I could make some money on my pursuit to the ultimate cargo box, then that would work for me. So that was kind of the inception, the vision that I had, was just to pursue this vision of perfection and make a little coin along the way.
That's right, man. You got to pay for that hobby somehow.
That's right.
So let's see. I remember when you came back in XM3, you had one of these boxes, and that's where these people saw them, right? And is it about that time when like the idea of Smith Overland, hey, I should start making these and developing these to sell?
It was, I'm trying to think which year it was, but I brought the box that was the full Xterra box with the lift hatch that had access to the well underneath. I can't remember what year it was, but that was the one where I really got a lot of interest at NXM, and decided that maybe I could make a go of it and try to do these as a little cash generating hobby.
Right. Well,
and at that time I was enjoying it quite a bit as well, and was getting a lot of satisfaction out of building them. So it was
Right.
kind of a passion that I had. I wasn't doing it to make a living. I was just doing it because I enjoyed it. And
well, it's nice to get away from corporate America for a little bit and go into your wood shop and
yeah, it's therapy for me to go and spend a few hours doing something and have something to look at when you're done.
Yeah.
Versus sitting at a keyboard all day.
Yeah, it's like you think of those old guys you see them with them hand wood lathes, and they're just. That's what every time I think of Kevin building one of these boxes is one of these old. He's hammering in these wooden dowels, instead of using nails and screws. I just think of this, and of course now I'm looking at Kevin. He's got the old man kind of beard going. Just that rugged. We'll say it's that rugged carpenter look is what you've got going on.
It's helped sales quite a bit.
They say the beard, it helps everything. So I'll never know because I can't grow facial hair, Kevin. So let's see. So you start making a few, and you sold a few, and really I think it wasn't until about 14 that I knew that you really. Oh, cool, Xterra passes. Nice blue Xterra. God, I love that blue. Anyways, I mean, these are the Titan interviews, people. As Kevin's driving my Titan, by the way. We are on, what are we on, 40 now?
Yeah.
So we're just getting through Knoxville. But we're heading back to Nashville, by the way. So we're, Kevin, by I think 14, I don't know that you had your website up or anything just yet.
15.
But you had started,
I don't think you sponsored Went that year, did you? I don't remember.
15 was the first year.
Yeah, so I was gonna say I don't remember you, but I remember like there being lots of. I think that Meisner came in and saw it and was like, "Hey, man, you ought to be selling these things," and you're like, "Hey, I am selling these things, just not at the rate you want me to sell these things." So you and of course your off-roading starting to take off too, and you end up buying what a 2000 last year production Xterra, right?
Yep, 2015.
I mean, if you're gonna be a cool Overland company, you got to have a cool new car. So Kevin went out and got, what color do they call that?
I don't know.
It's a good color. I don't know.
Shows how much of a car guy I am.
It's a maroon. I've got a color chart sitting on my desk, and I can tell you this. But so you go out and get this beautiful new Xterra, and we're like, "You're selling your old one," and you end up selling it, and it went through a couple fingers, and ended up at Off-Road Gorilla's daily driver, I believe. So you get this new truck, and you went right and built a new box for it, right?
The box I've got in there now actually predates the truck.
Oh, okay.
At that point, I'm a victim a little bit of the business because I haven't had time to build a new one for
you.
myself.
Well, that's what they say. Always the mechanic's car is always the worst one, or something.
Yeah.
But you did some interesting things. There's a lot of companies out there that sell, Overland cabinets or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all ridiculously priced for what you really get. Like, it's just a basic slide drawer system that not a lot of ingenuity put into them or thought put into these things of, hey, when you build it, your early ones were specific Xterra. You really had the Xterra in mind when you were building it, right?
Yeah, what I wanted to do was not just put a pair of drawers in the back of the truck, but to really use all the space. And so that ended up meaning a couple things. The Xterra has like a little storage well underneath the cargo floor, and that was one of those moments where I finished the cargo box and thought, I've got this great...
2 miles and continue on I-40 west.
Ladies and gentlemen, that would be the navigation system. Thank you, Nissan.
I've got this great cargo box, but I've effectively sealed off the storage well.
Yeah, needed, because if you're planning a camping trip, you're really you need every crook and cranny of that truck.
So that was part of it, was just to use all the space that the Xterra had. So I wanted it to be specific and totally tailored to the cargo space of the Xterra. And I wanted it to look good in terms of, I wanted a finish on it that looked professional and all of that. I used that carpet on the top and the front, which really gives it a nice finished look. And
matches the vehicle really well too.
Yeah.
Continue on I-40 west.
And actually what I'm doing now with those cargo boxes, I'm using Baltic birch plywood and basically hand finishing that with clear coat to the point where it's pretty much like furniture quality finish when I get done with it. So there's, depending on which surface, there'll be 3 or 4 layers of hand rubbed clear coat on there. So it really, I'm proud of them when I get done with them. I think it just, beyond just being functional, I think it looks great, and it's something to be proud of. And I think it really raises the aspect of the vehicle with those in there.
Yeah, man. Especially if you got a new vehicle, look navigation. We're trying to do a podcast here, okay? So, but yeah, you got a newer vehicle, man. There's nothing like, and I see a lot of these DIY guys building boxes, and they're very functional what they do. But it looks like somebody just shoved some plywood in the back of their. Okay, navigation. That's enough for you. But they really look like that somebody, just was in there cutting a couple pieces of plywood, made a drawer, and if it serves their function, that's great. But you've taken it and made it, it's like a piece of furniture in your house. You got a nice house. You don't want to just throw a cardboard box over there as a chair.
Yeah, part of it is what I learned was through all the different iterations was how to make the joints last a little longer. So just the different techniques for joining the wood together. Really didn't start off wanting to paint them at all, but realized that moisture and all that ends up ruining the wood pretty quick, and that kind of led to the paint or the clear coat. But all of that effort was really driven towards making something that lasts and would make it through several years instead of one summer of wheeling.
Right.
And I think that's a big part of it, is just building something that I wanted to build something that when I was done, I wouldn't have to repair it in a month and re-glue it or re-screw it or put more brackets on to try to hold it together. I wanted to do it right the first time, have it hold together and look good, and ideally move on to something else in my life.
Yeah, move on to some other modification you want to do to your vehicle.
Right.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, like you said, you've had that one in your vehicles now for what? That's 4 years?
Yeah, the one I've got in there now was, it's a bit of a one-off. There's a couple things I've done on that I haven't done on any other cargo box. One thing is, instead of putting like a urethane clear coat on it, I epoxied the whole thing. And ultimately, I think it's probably more durable than putting like a polyurethane down. But being in the small workspace that I have with the epoxy, it probably took a few years off my life. So that won't be happening until I get a bigger space again.
That and you don't want to be stoned from epoxy and then go cut your hand off trying to chop wood or something.
There was a period of about 10 days when I was putting the epoxy on that I think I was high the whole time. I mean, it was. I'm sure if OSHA was there, they would have shut me down. That's how strong the fumes were.
But so and then what did you say? What, 2015 is when basically you decided, hey, I'm just going to make a little go of this thing and see how many of these little boxes I can sell.
Yeah, I just thought I would make it more legit. So put up a website, kind of formed a little company, and also my wife was kind of getting frustrated because I was racking up a lot of bills on our checking account, trying to pay for tools and wood and all that. So, I started a company, so I had separate finances, and really just to make a concerted push to see if this thing had legs on it or not.
Right. So I know we were talking earlier, like that you're amazed how people find you, because you're pretty backed up right now, and you, other than your website, and you've got an Instagram page and a few other things, you've really taken off. And I'm gonna say it's probably a lot of it's due to Joel McGill, that and who we've had on the show. Like the guy, he has a pretty good following of Overlanders. And like, I know you were scrambling, like he had a hard day. He was heading out west, right?
Yes.
And so you were like scrambling hard to get that box done for him, and he got it, man. And as soon as he got it, I think he was just like flipping out on Instagram about the quality of it.
It was so understand that unfortunately, I wish somebody local would buy these things from me so I could talk to them firsthand, but it seems like the people who want to get these things are always in the far corners of the U.S. But Joel contacted me sight unseen. I didn't know him or who he was or anything, and he plopped down the money, and I started building his box for him, and he had a date he gave me, and I actually got really busy at my day job and was falling behind on the schedule, and he called me up one day nicely and just said, hey man, I got to have this thing, and so I buckled down and got it done for him. I really wanted to have him have that thing on his trip. He did tell me he was going on this trip out west with his boys, and I thought, I really got to get this thing done for him. So I did, and shipped it out to him. Didn't know until a few weeks after that he had this following, and I think there was an article in the Expedition Portal, and
what's there was one in the mag? Yeah, Expedition Portal did a story on him. There was a magazine that did a story on him.
Outdoor by 4. I think had something with him in it. So
and like instantly it's like, oh, there's Smith Overland's on the map. You know, I mean, it's like, and it's something like you were like, well, you know, build maybe a box or 2 a year, and all of a sudden, and then you stepped up your involvement with Wint, and you donated what, 3 boxes last year, was it?
Yeah. Yep. Three.
What, a full size and 2 of the
universal drawers, which is not a tailored wall-to-wall system. It's just a basic drawer system. But yeah, we put 3, one of each. There's 3 different kinds, so we put one of each of those.
And it's a testament to, you go to any of these off-road raffles, man. There's always something that people go nuts for, whether it be a winch or something. But when you put those out, like that's an item that I've never seen people just get so crazy about. And of course, we say once you see that, you got to save those to the last part of the raffle, man, because people are, you got to tease them with a cool item like that. And man, people went nuts. What James Soto won, right?
Yeah. What's the guy from Chicago that's been in my group?
Soto's from Chicago. Was it Ryan? No, not Ryan Miller.
No, the police guy. I forget his name. He's got the maroon Xterra.
The older Jim?
No, he's my age.
That's right. And Kevin's not old, by the way. I just said his beard made him look old. But anyway, so I mean, there was like that's probably the biggest item we've had to raffle. Like as far as like the buckets we put out were pretty full on that. And I was like, crap, man. And I get looking at, and then unfortunately Kelly sees one, and she's like, I've got to have one of those. And I'm like, uh-oh, great. How do I, oh, that noise you hear, by the way, is now we're running into rain. So I see these things, and I'm like, uh-oh, now Kelly wants one for her truck. And I'm like, Kevin, can you build me one? And I'm thinking, oh, man, that, I don't know what it takes. I know it takes a while to knock one of these out, but I'm like, oh, man. And I don't think I hit you really solid till probably the 1st of November. It's like, hey, man, I'm going to get this for Christmas. And you're like, dude, I'm in the middle of like building boxes. I don't, and I'm like, oh, okay. And like, my dad was a carpenter and did all this kind of like Kevin, like had a wood shop, and I never took any interest in it. So I have no idea what these things, I weld. So like I can instantly glue things together real quick, But yeah, but you ended up saving the Christmas present, and then we brainstormed a little bit and got the light idea to put in there. And Kevin calls me up. He's like, dude, I revamped your lighting system that we were talking about. And he's like, I just keep opening these drawers and the light comes on. And he said, you shut the drawer and the light goes off. And I'm like, well, that's kind of what it's supposed to do. And then you get there and you see this wooden cabinet, this beautiful, these are works of art. They really are. This beautiful wood cabinet, and you're opening and closing it, and you're like, I see why. This is just the coolest thing ever. And you're like, in the end, you're thinking about it. It's a wooden cabinet. Why am I so mesmerized by this? But you're like, okay, my buddy just built this bitchin' cabinet, and, and one day I will get Kevin to sign these things, because they seriously are, they're just a work of art that you do. And so you were saying that, like, you're way behind right now.
Yep.
Like it's taken to where it's one of those things of like, you almost kind of need help, because it's went from kind of a fun hobby, to now it's almost like a job, right?
Yeah, I've been basically in steady production since last November without a break. So all of my, whatever free time I do have, has been spent building boxes.
So please, people, do not order any more boxes. I'm playing. Kevin just wants a vacation.
Just wants some sleep.
Oh man, so kind of take us through what you build. You have the Xterra box, right?
So that was the inception, was just to build something for the Xterra, and still doing that. It's the custom, tailored fit for the Gen 2 Xterra.
And what you kind of do, I think you kind of, when people call you, do some options with. There's little things like they can tweak, right? Or
yeah, the Xterra one's pretty straightforward, but sometimes people have like a power tank in the back. So there's always one-off little tweaks that people want. This is all, every one I build is built one at a time, and I don't start building them until we get the order set. So there's always room for tweaks or whatever in terms of finish or whatever customizations. I try to keep them standard just because I can build them faster. If it's something I've already built, I already know the measurements or whatever to get them in. But I've had a lot of calls. Let me step back. So then we do the Xterra box. Then there's the universal drawers, which is just a square drawer with an enclosure.
Right.
And there's
just a one drawer, right?
There's a tall one that's got like a big drawer space, which I built specifically to fit the Blue Ridge Overland tool bags. So that big drawer is made, you can just stack, I think you probably get 10 or 15 of those bags in there, but I built that one specifically to fit their tool bag. And then there's one the same height that's got two drawers, maybe.
That's the one I have, right?
This one you got, they're about 7 inches, maybe 8 inches high. Then there's a half height, which is like one drawer, 8 inch high. So those are kind of the standard products. I just finished building a custom box, which is like the Xterra, but it went in a 4Runner.
Right.
For a guy in New York. That turned out fabulous.
Yeah, you were showing me some pictures of that one, man.
Yeah.
And how you did it in your home shop, and we're still able to get like the measurements and work through it, and just it looks like it fits exactly the way it should. And
yeah, I was a little nervous about that because I don't have access to a type of vehicle that he had, and so I gave him the measurements that I needed, meaning I need the width and I need these, and he measured it out and kind of double checked it, and then I double checked it with him again because I was fearful of building this whole thing and having it be a half inch too wide and not fit in his truck by the time I shipped it up there. But
and I'm assuming people that are buying these generally probably don't have the woodworking skills you do to go, I can modify that and it'll be okay.
Yeah.
The cabinets aren't cheap either, so it's not like you want to ship one of these somewhere
and I don't want it back,
Yeah.
It's kind of, let's get it right the first time. Measure once, measure twice, cut once is definitely. I have no room for inventory. I mean, I'm running out of a small garage, so I don't really have room to stock.
You don't want to store 4Runner boxes.
That's right. But it fit, and that guy, his name's Frank, that bought it. He did some of the finish work on it, got it all put together, and I believe as we speak, he's out touring the country with his truck, with his cargo box. So turned out well. He loved it.
I was gonna say, did he when he got it? Did he give you a call or whatever, or email and be like, "Hey, man, was this?"
Yeah, he did. It was fun.
And I know from having my own small little deal, that's part of it. When you build, you build something that you like personally. It's something you designed in your head. You build, if it fits your vehicle is exactly as one, and then you start selling these, and these people, they fit exactly like they're supposed to, and they call you and they're excited, like, hey man, because you never know on the internet anymore what you buy. It's
and that's I really don't make any money doing this.
Well, he makes a lot of gray hairs. So.
Gray hairs, but for me, it's getting those calls or emails or whatever. That really, the gratification. That's what really keeps me going, and just to know that there's people out there loving the stuff that I've created and getting a lot of use out of it. That's really for me the juice.
I know when Kelly, when I picked it up from you, the box we had for Christmas, and of course I think it was a couple days before Christmas that I got it from you, that it was like, for one, where do I store this thing for Christmas? And then I was like, I'm just going to put it under the tree, and I forget, for some reason I got her up into where we had our Christmas tree, and she saw it, and she just really wigged down about it, she just thought it was the best thing ever. And now, she keeps all of her off-road gear, and just basic gear, her jumper cables, stuff like that, and she's definitely full, and I know at some point she's gonna want one of those half drawers. So Kevin, get your saw ready. But yeah, I mean, and Kelly, you know, she'd seen kind of your early stuff, but you know, to see how you develop what you do, like from the early stuff that I thought looked good to the stuff you're doing now, which is just like seriously, it's furniture quality stuff to me. What you're doing is pretty phenomenal, man. And of course, to see, you know, just as a person, as a friendship, to see you kind of like grow in the off-road community, and then like really now you're, you know, more than just Nissan, since you've stretched into Toyota a little bit. Like, you know, you've taken on kind of the Overland community. So kind of what, as we wrap this up, what's the kind of future for Smith Overland? I know you're behind, or not behind, but you're maxed out at what you can do now. We were talking like maybe down the road, either you know you have to actually get some help, which is, I mean, that's kind of the American dream, right? Like you build a business that requires people. Not that you're looking to ever start a business with people to work, but that's the American way, right? And I mean,
yeah, I think I got to make some decisions on what to do next. I am basically not marketing this
Right.
thing at all.
So this won't air, people. So when you hear it, it's by accident.
But you know, like the last couple of people that have ordered them, I always ask them like, "How did you find me?" And you know, usually the answer is, "Well, I saw some pictures on the internet," and I'm like, "Well, where and what pictures?" And I never seem to get further
Because
down that.
I don't think
that trail.
like the big Overland sites like Expedition Portal or whatever. I don't think you've pushed anything there, right?
I haven't. I've got a Facebook page that I look at about 4 times a year, and I am not a master of social media and those things.
Sorry, Facebook.
But you know, I think there's a few people out there. I think Joel's probably the major one, but people that have some of the cargo boxes, and I don't know if they're posting pictures, but you know, it's word of mouth somehow that's getting out there, and one way or another, these people find their way to me.
Right.
I try to make it hard, but I think going forward, you know, I'm at a crossroads where if we're going to continue growing, I'm going to have to get some help or look at a different business model, because it's definitely saturated my ability to produce these, and I don't know what that'll mean, but
ultimately what would you know, you've shipped these to America, like would you ever, like if you ever had to ship one to Australia or somewhere, I mean, would you see that as like, oh man, I've accomplished something, you know? Because for me, I mean, me and Danny talk all the time on the show about wanting to get the podcast actually down to Australia, and good day to our Australian listeners. I know we have the steady flow of them out there, and we appreciate that. But I mean, is there some kind of thing that, like, if you sold one somewhere or to some particular person, that it was like I don't know, just peaked to your.
So right now, no. I think that my goal was just to see if I could build something good enough that people would want, and I've met that goal. So I don't have a next goal in place. Like I said, I mean, the goal was really, you know, to see if people wanted these things enough to shell out their own hard-earned money for them.
And clearly they do.
And they do. It would definitely be cool to ship one to Australia. I can't even imagine what the shipping cost would be, but you know, hey, if someone wants to get one, I'll figure out a way to get
That's
it
right.
there. You know?
Clearly, if he's built them for people in New York without ever seeing the vehicle they're going in, I mean, he could put one in a cool patrol or something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've kind of proven that out, that I don't need to see the vehicle to get it in there.
Of course, we say that, and as soon as you ship one now, it's going to be a disaster.
Well, you know, like the one I built for this guy in New York, you know, there was a lot of back and forth, you know, and a lot of, you know, I had him take, I think he thought I was nuts, but I had him take pictures of every square inch of his cargo space so I could look it over and talk it through with him. So, you know, that same detail would go into any other vehicle that we did. But I think, you know, the next goal might be just to get this into a mode where I could do a higher production volume on
to like experiment with metals or things that can be.
If I could get the models I've got now productionized so that I had some help and those were going out with an acceptable level of quality, I would then probably use that free time I had to start exploring with metal as well.
Right.
Right now, I just don't have the time or the space to do the woodworking. I mean, if I start welding and working with metal in the shop I've got now, it'll be only about 30 minutes before the whole place burns down.
Clearly, all the polyurethane and everything you spread around.
And the sawdust and the scrap wood. I mean, it's just a tinderbox waiting to go. So definitely need to have a different workspace for the metal part.
Well, if one of our listeners, clearly we're not promoting selling more of these. I mean, Kevin wants free time. But if one of our listeners was interested, in what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
They can go to the website, which is smithoverland.com, and look at the photos and information I've got out there, and then they can email me at kevin@smithoverland.com.
All right. So just, I mean, if you're listening to this and our road trip here has piqued your interest of wanting to know more, definitely check out his website. His, I think is that box, the main box that's on there, is that the one that's currently in your truck, or is that one you sold?
The one shown in the pictures? I think that might be the box that Joel has. I can't remember which one.
And you've got a picture of the mini boxes and stuff, and
correct.
And maybe one day he'll get a picture of that 4Runner one.
Actually, I need to post them. That one came out nice. I'll get those up soon.
And but tell a buddy, tell a friend. Kevin needs more free time. So Kevin, it was awesome talking to you, man, and we'll see you on the trails, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
There you have it, guys. Mr. Kevin Smith, man, a good buddy of mine. He taking his little hobby and he's taking it to the next level, as he's talking about, and doesn't know where he's going to go with it, but he's just along for the ride. And if you're interested in any of his cargo boxes, once again, go to smithoverland.com. You can check out Smith Overland on Instagram, Facebook. I think that's about all the social media he's doing right now. I know he's is any of my listeners, and I know I've got some people out there that manufacture things, as they can attest, man, being in business anymore, it's you're your own media company. You're trying to build the things you dream about. And it's a lot, man. So finding a way to make it all work is a scramble sometimes. So be sure to tell my buddy Kevin to give him a shout and tell him you heard him on the Nissan Nation podcast. So we really do hope to have more of these Titan interviews. I can't wait to, of course, with Wint coming up, man, I can only imagine who I can get in that truck and go drive down the road, and it's awesome because they're driving my vehicle, so they're focused. So you're going to get the kind of the honest answers, where they can't really kind of, not that Kevin was going to try to BS me or anything, but you don't get that smoothed out. I just feel like these are going to be super honest interviews, and maybe I can get Danny in the truck if he can fly out here this year. And of course, Danny's just going to be trying to brace the vehicle. He's going to try to take it up the hills of Windrock. So check that out. Once again, I want to say I appreciate every one of our listeners. We couldn't do this, what we do, without you guys. Clearly, we love, having you, and our numbers keep going up each month. I'm surprised how many people are listening to me and Danny. We're once again, we're going to send some pizzas there in Australia. I don't know why we've chosen you Aussies to want to send some pizza to. It just happened the last show. But that is going to happen. And damn, I'd love to see the face on the Nissan dealers, when they get delivery of pizza, and they're going to be like, huh? We didn't order any pizza. It's going to be like, yeah, it's from the Nissan Nation podcast. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully we'll have one of those. Whoever we send it to, we can give us a call and do a little interview with them. I know we promised some big interviews. We've got the drift guy. We are efforting. We had the time down, so we got that. we've got more people like you and me, just car nuts that we want to talk to. And without my Danny here, man, it's hard to. I feel like I'm just carrying on and on and on. So there's no big news right now. Just going to leave this as this interview, this special interview. Next show is Moab again. The recap, all the fun that they sent my way somehow. I got involved, but I want to recap some of the trails and stuff that Danny was on. Danny's adventure to get there. That should be fun. I know we're going to have Mr. Chris Hefty coming up with Hefty Fab Works. They build bumpers for your Nissan trucks, and they do all kinds of crazy stuff. They do stuff with the Raptors. I think they make skid plates and stuff. Maybe we'll check back with some people from our past. I'd like to know where people like my buddy Corey Sane are doing now. We've got the Doodle. She picked up a Mini Cooper, which is, she was all Nissan, but she's into this little Mini Cooper right now. And we're just going to find some people and talk to them. I got a feeling we're going to talk to Mr. Holden Scott again, because they've asked us to come down for their grand opening of Regal Nissan there in northern Atlanta. They're going to have me and Danny come in and do the Dave and Danny show, which should be scary because there'll be corporate Nissan there. But we're just shaking and moving along. We got summer's full force ahead. Whatever you're doing with your car, man, please be safe. Have lots of fun in it, in your Nissan. And till next time, my name is David Boyd, and this is the Nissan Nation podcast, and we are out. Peace, everybody. Love y'all.